Hi guys, this morning we are test driving well, I wouldn't say new, but we are test driving the Honda CRZ, which is Honda's latest sports offering. I mean, well, you could say sports, but it's actually a sports hybrid model. Hong, we were talking about the inception of this car,
Right.
and it was revealed at the 2007 Tokyo Motor Show, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And the CRZ, basically, the acronym CRZ, as much as it's a successor of the CRX from the
Correct.
80s, actually represents a whole different thing. CRZ stands for Compact Renaissance Zero.
I know what it also means. That it's basically the compact sports car, right? But with all the basics redefined and going back to
The fundamentals.
the fundamentals.
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely.
So what we have here is basically a 3-door notchback style compact sports hybrid thing.
Is it a sports hybrid compact or is it a hybrid sports compact? I mean, does it really matter? Because whichever word comes first would signify what the car manufacturer had in mind, right? If it's a hybrid sports compact, then the priority feels like it weighs on hybrids. Whereas if it's a sports compact hybrid, then it's more of a sports car than a hybrid.
You're right.
So
You're right. But well, we were reading up about this, and they were saying that the Honda marketers actually talked about this and said that this was a sports hybrid, wasn't it?
They did, right?
Yeah. So, and also in line with the name, because it's the CRZ successor of the CRX, it kind of already shows that this car is meant for more sporting purposes as compared to, because Honda's got so many hybrids already, right? They got the Insight, they got the Civic hybrid, right?
Right.
They got the FCX Clarity, which is their hydrogen cell, fuel cell powered vehicle.
Right.
So I mean, they've got a whole slew of hybrid vehicles, but this one is a bit of I would say odd black sheep of the family, of the hybrid family, of their hybrid family, because what it is the only hybrid in the world.
Yes, it is the only hybrid vehicle in the world that comes with a 6-speed manual transmission.
Exactly.
Every other hybrid comes with a boring automatic gearbox, right? And without an option. But the CRZ does come with a manual. Unfortunately, the one we have today is an auto. 7-speed, right?
That's right.
CVT?
That's right. 7-speed CVT, continuously variable transmission, which should improve fuel economy. We've been actually driving it for a couple of days now,
Right.
and average fuel consumption that I've been getting is very good, 15 to 16 kilometers to the liter. And considering we're not exactly very light-footed either, so it's all in all, it's been quite a fuel-saving car.
You know, you're talking about sports, right? And I remember, Hondas of the 80s and the 90s having a suspension setup, right, that was very attuned with motorsports, or at least, fun on track.
You're right.
Weekend fun, right? With the McPherson setup in the front and independence in the rear.
That's right.
But what happened with the CRZ?
Well, CRZ did not differ too much from performance Hondas of the old, because the new Honda CRZ comes with McPherson front suspensions as well, and H-frame torsion beam suspension setup at the back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know what? This actually means that the springs and shocks at the back are not in a coil setup. It's no longer a coilover setup. So it should mean lesser performance, but from what we've gathered, right, over the amount of little runs that we've had, it's actually a pretty sprightly little car.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
The power ratings for the car are 122 horsepower, with 111 horsepower coming from the gasoline engine and about 10 horsepower coming from the integrated motor assist. 10 or 11, that's right, because my maths is very good. All right. Then what's more impressive though is the torque figures of the car. It is rated at a very healthy 174 horsepower.
Newton meters.
Excuse me.
Right.
That's right. So 174 Newton meters of torque. That's the official rating from Honda.
It's interesting because those numbers may not necessarily turn a lot of people on.
That's right.
I understand 0 to 100 is 8.8 seconds, which is kind of a snail, for a
In
car
terms,
that-
in our standards.
Well, I mean, it is, right? If we have to compare it with other Honda vehicles that offer a sporty variant, like the Civic, for example, and the whole feel of it, I mean, it's got a 1.5 i-VTEC single overhead cam engine, but it does. I drove it, and I only drive in sport mode. I'm sorry. I did not feel the VTEC. There was no glorious roar like the Integras or the Civic Type R's.
You're right. The sound of the car really. I think what's lacking with this car is really if it is marketed as a sports hybrid and sports being more of a priority, then the sound of this car does not quite
I think you're right.
reach the mark, doesn't it?
I think you're right. It needs more.
It needs more
Noise.
presence. Exactly.
It needs noise.
Exactly. Because everything about the car on the inside at least brings about the sense of occasion that this car is about having a good time driving, like just the driving position and the seating and the steering wheel, and just look at the beautiful tachometer with the rev counter placed right in the center. So I mean, it does bring about some confusion if you ask me. Why such a beautifully designed interior and cockpit, and then they just lacked any oomph with the exhaust?
I agree. I mean, Mugen has been tuning this car up.
Exactly.
And but of course, we're not here to talk about the Mugen or the
CRZ.
Mugen R, right? No.
Mhm.
We're talking about the original CRZ.
Mm-hmm.
And but no, I mean, I personal opinion, I believe that this will be replacing the Type R's. In the years to come, Honda will stop producing Type R's, and they really have.
As they already have, that's right.
Exactly.
The Type R, the Civic Type R is out of production. The only one that's left is the Euro Type R, and that one is
the FN, right?
Yeah, and that one is also going out soon. It's phasing out soon.
But I'm thinking that this to be a test bed of sorts.
You're right.
For the next generation of sporty
compact,
sporty cars from Honda. So I think it's a job well done. I like it. It's a good balance.
Well, for what it's worth, some quick facts first actually. Do you know that HKS already has a supercharger kit for the CRZ, and that one is already pushing?
We could spend about 17 hours talking about how we can tune this car up.
You're right. You're right, but all the Japanese tuners are jumping on this test bed already.
Yeah.
Jace has a CRZ, Mugen has their CRZ,
Right.
HKS, Top Secret, they're all jumping in on this little hybrid movement that's going on in Japan.
Spoon swapped in an engine as well.
Exactly, I think Spoon's got a little K in their CRZ. And we were looking on YouTube the other day, and in the US they've even had K swaps on CRZs already. So it's that whole Franken-motor craze that Honda enthusiasts used to do last time with the B series,
right.
Except now it's happening on the CRZ. Let's be honest, this car was not meant to be the buy from the showroom and go straight to the track and find a car.
You're right.
Exactly.
But that's the thing about the Honda Civic FD2R. You buy the car now, and then you can go trekking now.
Exactly. You see?
But Hondas should build cars that can go trekking every weekend. Period.
Which is like what they have
been doing for a very long time, and they shouldn't stop. There was a time when the Accord, I think it's also known as the TSX in the US, or the Acura TSX in the US. There was a time when literally all Accords could go racing.
Mm-hmm. They had a coupe in the US as well.
They did.
Yeah.
And the Civics could go racing, and then the Beats could go racing. You know, the
S2000s
could go racing.
That's
the
right.
Honda Jazz and the Fits, they go racing, right? So 80s, 90s,
even into the 2000s.
Exactly, first decade of the 21st century. You know, Hondas have been building engines and vehicles that you can go trekking.
You're right.
Weekends for for more serious enthusiasts, strip it out, modify it a little bit, upgrade it a little bit, and go for competitive racing.
You're right.
And it seems like they're deviating away.
With this current hybrid movement that's going on in Japan, this green movement that's going on in Japan, I don't see.
We really like green, by the way.
Yeah, we're green. No.
No.
No, but with this current hybrid movement that's going on in Japan, I think it's unavoidable that our favorite Japanese car makers are going to start making cars that we don't quite like.
No.
Yeah, but what can we do but adapt, really, in an instance such as this? All we can do is
This is it, the Honda CRZ. So what you see with the CRZ right here is a very aerodynamic design, and it allows the car to cut through the wind, thus reducing drag and become more fuel efficient.
So I want to take some time now to talk about the engine on the Honda CRZ. What this car has is a 1.5 litre gasoline 4-cylinder engine. It is also assisted by Honda's electric motor system known as the IMA, or Integrated Motor Assist. Now the gasoline engine by itself makes about 111 horsepower, but together with the electric powertrain, they make a combined 122 horsepower as well as 174 Newton meters of torque, which is a respectable number for a car such as this. Performance figures wise, the car accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 8.8 seconds.
So this is the rear trunk of the CRZ, and if you can see, it's got a pretty decent space for a trunk, for a hatchback. Unfortunately, it's a little shallow. We'll get to that in a minute as to why it's so shallow. The beautiful thing about a hatchback like that, you have foldable rear seats. So that on a normal car allows you to fold the rear seats so you enlarge the trunk space. Now watch this. It doesn't fold all the way, especially if you're a tall person driving in the front. You will not be able to pull the foldable rear seats down all the way because, well, the chair's kind of in the way. And but nonetheless, you should be able to put a decent amount of luggage in this rear trunk. Now, what makes it so shallow? The battery compartment. Now, if you just lift this portion up, you will be able to see where the battery for the CRZ is. So no spare tire, but a huge battery in its place.
Now, like I said earlier, I would only want to drive this car in sport mode, and so
there we go. It's quite interesting to note that when on the three modes that are available on the CRZ, essentially you have sports mode,
right,
normal mode, and economic mode. So what happens is in sport mode everything becomes sharpened, but I tried it yesterday in economic mode a lot, most of the time when I was driving, and it really becomes quite lethargic.
Right.
You tap the throttle and you can feel the serious lack of power when it accelerates. But once you put on sports mode, it becomes very, very responsive. You unleash a little beast.
No, I think you do, because and that's the beauty of e-throttle to some extent, because you are given the option. Sometimes after a long day of work, you may not want to be all highly strung up,
right,
and you want to drive in peace. Set it for economic mode, and you drive in peace.
Yeah, you don't want to get whiplash all the time.
No, you don't.
So
lateral G's.
You're right.
When you're in sport mode, the pedal shifts come into action. Push the sport button, and it just stays in sport mode. And the moment you start using the pedal shifters on the steering wheel, then it activates the manual. It's kind of like a manual override, and then it stays there.
Yeah, which is different from the other two modes, because when you use the car in the other two modes and you tap the pedal shift, it switches to manual mode, but then it will switch back to automatic mode when it's idle.
Right.
Yeah, and then in order to shift gears, you have to actually do a double tap, which kind of makes it a bit funny. I also find it funny that the gear shift doesn't have a proper switch.
That is interesting, because for an automatic car that has pedal shifters, but not a manual shift control on the
yeah, there's no like sideways movement that you can
Right.
do, right?
Exactly,
To make
that's
it completely manual.
Interesting. So it kind of forces you to use the pedal shifts if you want to go for the spirited drive.
And only in sport mode.
Right.
It's kind of funny.
The one thing fun about the CRZ is if you're a person that enjoys gadgets and iPhones and funky colors, the dash changes colors depending on how you drive the car. If you're driving if you're driving the car in economic mode and you're driving it light-footed, then you have a lot of green.
Yeah,
and
that's
a bit of
right.
blue, right?
That's
Once
right.
you push the sport button, then the red comes out and a bit of the Type R heritage.
Yeah.
You know, the feel comes back.
Yeah, you're right. And then there's also one more interesting thing about the console, which is on the right side of the console. What happens is, as you drive, the car actually tells you how economic your driving is, how light-footed or how heavy-footed your driving is, by showing you a certain number of bean sprouts on the side, right?
Right, it does. Little bean sprouts sprout out.
Yeah,
if
they
you
start
may.
growing, yeah.
And the more light-footed, the more economic driving pattern you have.
Yeah, and then the more economic you drive, basically the more bean sprouts you grow.
The ergonomics of the CRZ is very good. Take the seats for example. They give you just the right amount of support along your waist area and your shoulders area, keeping you in firm position when you take this car out for a spirited drive. The steering wheel has the bumps and nudges at the right places, giving you added confidence as you steer this vehicle. All in all, the sitting position, ergonomics, and steering position of the CRZ is very driver focused. Now unfortunately, we are squeezed for time, so as we do this video shoot, Bear, our photographer, has to come in and do the photography at the same time. Now no hybrid car will ever be complete without the hybrid badge.
This is a little prank we're gonna play with Hui Qi. She does not know we're turning on the camera while she drives the car, so let's see.
这个是姐家的。
In fact, you know what? I'm gonna get the iPad and get a video of that huge thing right in front of us and excuse my language, but damn! Look at
That
the
monster.
That is monstrous. It is huge. It is huge.
It's not even taking up one lane.
No, it's taking 1.5 lanes. Whoa! All right.
Look
That
at the
is
size.
monster.
That is monstrous. It is huge. It is huge.
It's just not even taking up one lane.
No, it's taking 1.5 lanes. Whoa.